We have Rick and Amy who are going to do the presentation. Let's start the meeting.
This is, I'm going to call to order on the Groton Board of Education meeting, special meeting on April 6th at 6 o'clock, and it is about 6:02. This meeting is held in remote because of the COVID virus. So the first part of our agenda is student representative report. And Addie, I don't know if...
Hi, Zay.
Okay, so I'm going to have you go, if that's all right.
I can start. Well, yeah, of course. So there's not too much to report on, but I do want to talk about one thing. So over the past couple of weeks, Zay and I have been kind of accumulating different student concerns and questions to talk to you guys, and also just to kind of be in touch with what the students are feeling and what's going on. And we've been kind of compiling this. So we have a record of all of these concerns. And Zay and I reached out to administration actually to see if we could get sort of work with the administration to answer these questions, and also to find a way to reach out to students. So this is still ongoing and we're still working on it, but the goal is to make a sort of blog maybe, or some sort of social media, just to kind of reach out to students, because I know a lot of students are active on social media as opposed to email and that sort of thing. So just another way to reach out to students and make sure they feel involved in this process. So that's a main thing that Zay and I are working on right now. And the other thing is that there is a meeting this Wednesday at noon between class council, so all the different student representatives at Fitch, and I think Mr. Kelleher and a couple other administrators. So it's just going to be a meeting, I think, about just the situation and how we can reach out and sort of answering any of the questions we have as representatives we can bring to the student population. So a lot of trying to keep students together and all that sort of thing is going on right now. That's pretty much it.
Could you talk a little bit about what are some of the concerns, just so that the board has what that is?
So I mentioned a lot of them at the last large meeting. There's a lot of questions I received from seniors about senior activities and graduation, and cap and gown, that sort of thing. And from just generally students, I've gotten a lot of questions about how this distance learning is going to work. I did get a recent question that I was hoping to bring up at some point in the meeting, whether there are any other software options, considering Schoology keeps going down, or if that's just something that we can work through. I don't think it's a huge thing, but some people were wondering about that.
Susan, can you speak to that?
Yeah.
Could you speak to that?
Excuse me, I was on the phone with Sam. Dennis, can you hear me? Apparently Sam didn't get an invitation. Okay, Addie, could you just briefly review the question? I was on the phone with Sam. Yeah,
one question is whether there are other options for software to use instead of Schoology, because a lot of students have noticed that it's been breaking a lot, and I think I think
okay.
Definitely aware of it.
We've talked a lot about that. The problem, we could go to Google Classroom, which is a very powerful nationwide, and actually K through 8 are using Google Classroom. The problem is, if we change platforms, it would be, as you can imagine, for the teachers, it'd be an enormous amount of work. It'd be like taking all your documents and saying you're not going to use Microsoft, you're going to use some other Joe Schmo word processing program. So that would be, but we're prepared to do that. But my understanding is that Schoology has worked out their problems, their glitches. Is that true, or is that not really happening with your experience?
Like, who are you directing that question
Oh,
to?
Addie. Addie, has Schoology worked for you?
Oh, sorry.
Last day or two?
I've noticed that it's been working fine the last couple days. So yeah, if they said they worked it out, it seems that they have.
The answer to your question is, if we needed to move to another platform, if it was going to be, if we're going to be knocked out for a week or so, then we would consider doing that. But as of right now, we're gonna stick with that. I think moving forward, and I'll let Dennis cold call weigh in, but I think we all think that Google Classroom, we already have it. It's essentially a free product to us, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense not to use it, except the teachers have invested. Many teachers have invested enormous amount of time in Schoology, so we don't want to. Certainly, this spring, we don't want to disrupt that aspect of the learning. I can tell you, we're still thinking about, of course, graduation. We're moving ahead, and I asked Mr. Kelleher to have that meeting with you, so I'm happy to hear that that's going to happen this week. And we're still, the state is trying to give us some guidance, and we're still struggling with the whole notion of how do we do this grading for the last quarter. It's a little bit tricky because not everybody has their internet access yet. We still have about 20 students who don't have internet access. So it's hard to say that, we're gonna hold people 100% accountable for that. I did hear, I was just on a conference call with the Lieutenant Governor, and I think there's gonna be a decision in the next couple of days about possibly extending a school closure. It would be good that we would know. As painful as this is, I think it'd be, that we have student athletes who still think that potentially there may be a sports season, and there may be a sports season. As Dr. Fauci says, the virus is going to set the timeline, not us. But we're on top of it. We understand the students are understandably super anxious, and I see Zay is with us, so that's good. Was there anything else that I missed, Kim? I'm sorry, I was talking to Sam at the time.
No, I think you're good. And it looks like we've got Sam on. Zay, do you have anything to offer around the student representative report?
Hello?
Hi, buddy.
Oh, sorry. It was like, I've never used this before, so very new. What was your question?
I already mentioned sort of how students we're trying to do some sort of blog or social media to kind of outreach to students, and also the meeting on Wednesday. So they're asking if there's anything else to add.
Not to my knowledge. Everybody's just like, very anxious right now. We don't really know what's happening. There's just a whole bunch of emotions that really nobody knows how to handle right now.
I don't think that they are, I think that they share the same emotions for everyone, not only in the school district, but around the world, in terms of who knows what's happening with all of this. So I can appreciate that that's how they're feeling. Is there anyone from the board that has any questions for our representatives, student reps?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, Liz, sorry.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Hi.
Listen, I had a parent ask me about, is there any services, are you guys able to access like your social workers or anybody like that in case you need them?
Like our guidance counselors?
Yeah, guidance counselors, like Miss Hallisey, people like that.
So I know that my guidance counselor, Ms. Couture, has actually reached out to all of his people on his
Oh,
caseload
okay.
and like told him like what hours he's available throughout the day. But besides that, Miss Halsey is probably available in the peer mediation group that I'm in with her. She contacts us through Schoology, so she possibly uses her email. I'm not really sure. I haven't emailed her yet. But besides that, that's really all I'm able to talk for. I don't
Yeah,
really know about
as
the other ones.
far as I'm aware, counselors should be available via email. I think for most cases, you have to reach out to them
Okay.
I
for a
can,
question,
I
but I'm
can
pretty
weigh
sure
in
they
here,
all are
Liz.
checking.
Okay.
Last Friday, we ordered 30 Google Voice accounts for all the counselors and all the mental health workers. So they now have the ability through their computer, not their private phone. They essentially have a private number through Google Voice. And I spoke to Miss McGuire today, and she thought it was going well, and the counselors and school psychologists and social workers were reaching out to the students. And the middle school folks said the same.
Okay. I just, I had a question from that about not only the high school, but on all 3 levels. So on the elementary, are they?
All 3 levels, yes.
Okay. So if a parent needs to or feels the need to reach out to these people, they're available. Just go to the school website. How do they access it, Mike?
I believe they just send an email and the counselor will call them.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
I think Lee has a question and then Rita. But do you have a question for the student reps?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. Rita.
I do. I want to know, Addie, for the seniors that are right now getting their acceptance letters, if there's an issue, and this is for Dr. Grenier also, how much are the guidance counselors involved, and how much help will they be for every senior that, is sort of struggling to what they're going to be doing in the fall and reaching out to them?
I'm pretty sure guidance counsel, part of the college process at Fitch is that it's kind of your responsibility to reach out to guidance counselors to say, I got into here and here, just kind of let them know, because they were a big part of the process. So that's something you're supposed to do, is just reach out to them. And I think at that point, if you have any questions about this college or about this
Right.
trade school or whatever you're planning on doing, I think just emailing them is probably the best decision.
Okay.
And I think they'll be able to email back. I don't know if there's any other.
I would just add to that, I think that's why they asked for the Google Voice account. The
Right.
counselors were sort of very interested in getting that, and Dennis was able to get it, and Ms. McGuire said today that it was going extremely well.
So my other question, Mike, is about for students that have speech and so forth. Did you order the speech teachers also the Google Voice?
They're doing, they can do, right now, we're doing Google Classroom and we're doing Zoom. We have a district account.
Okay.
And so they are able to, Susan, maybe, she was in a meeting the other day, so I'll let her talk to that a little bit.
So right now we're on the agenda topic for student representatives, and I think Susan can answer that question when we get down to the agenda topic.
Well, Kim, I just think whether you're in high school or not, whether or not the people in high school those who need speech or have another 504 type of accommodation. I just want to know from the student reps if they've heard anything that the students are not receiving the services that should be provided, high school, whatever.
So they answered that, and then the question that was going to be directed towards Susan was to find out about how those things are going. So let's have that be answered in the virtual.
Okay. They didn't really answer it, but that's okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for the student reps? Awesome. Let's move on. So the next is the superintendent and administration reports. And then I believe the first is up is a presentation at the Groton Middle School Technology Plan. And Mike, my understanding that this was a presentation that we were going to have a couple of weeks ago, but got pushed to the side. And now it seems like we need to be thinking about it, which is one of the reasons why we're having a meeting tonight, was for us to hear the presentation and then also to vote on it so that Rick and others can move to Hartford with that. So with that, setting the stage, the presentation, please.
Okay, if I can for a couple minutes, and I'll turn it over to Amy from SLAM, who will go through some more of the details. Can everyone hear me okay?
Rick, you're great.
Yes.
Okay. So what was a tremendous amount of work, and Dennis from your staff really helped us out with that, getting things identified. The budget process took a little bit longer than expected. We got that corrected. We're a little bit over the budget. Amy will go into that a little bit more and into a little bit more detail. As you know, the plans, and we need to probably modify your motion a little bit, that it talks about both the specs, the plans, and the budget. But we had to move the meeting with OSCGR based on the COVID-19 out to the 15th of this month. So we're able to get things together to come talk to you folks. There's a signature process that Amy will be working with Tammy from the Arcata staff, going around and trying to get the signatures, because the state still requires live signatures. So it'll be like a visitation, or if you will. And I think Amy's going to turn the plans over to Tammy, and she will route them around for signature. So having said that, we are obviously quite aware of the COVID-19 on the project that's going on. Arcadis, and both ONG and Arcadis have very strict protocols in place to handle that with the workers and the people that are on site and that sort of thing. Staffs there from both of those units are minimal. Workers have been spread out all over the site. So we're really pretty happy with, not that we have to do it, but how those two groups are reacting to what we need to have done. So I'll turn it over to Amy, let her talk about a few more details of this program, which is the technology, includes computers, Promethean boards, and the like, plus all the connecting equipment. So I'll let her go through that, and both I and her will be happy to answer any questions afterwards. So Amy, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Rick, and thanks to all of you for hosting the meeting tonight so that we could present this information. As Rick said, we need your approval prior to being able to go to the state to seek their approval, and then go out to bid and to the state contract to procure this technology equipment. So just briefly, I wanted to let you know that our team, and actually also joining me tonight are George Gillen and Linda Fredrickson from GTC Consultants, who designed the technology for the project that's under construction, and the equipment that goes to it now in this package. So if you have technical questions, they can help me with that. But I'm going to present to you the process quickly, and then some of the documents for your review. So the process is that similar to the furniture and that package that we shared with you a couple of months ago, we had meetings with your administration, the school principal, and Dennis, who's on the line today, as your IT director. And we talked about what technology equipment should be in the new school. And so with Dennis's help, Linda and George were able to come up with a list. And I'm not going to take you through every drawing, but suffice it to say that this is an example of one of the floor plans of the school, a portion of the floor plan of the school. And on each sheet, we have an item technology list. The list corresponds with tags that you'll find in the plans. And so I'm going to zoom into a typical classroom, for example. And you'll see that in this typical classroom 207, there's a number of technology equipment items that are called out. These include the Promethean board for the display and teacher interactive board. They include the telephone, they include the wireless access point, and they also include a charging station where up to 32 Chromebooks or iPads or any kind of computer can be charged in each classroom. So that's where they'll be stored, and they'll also be charging overnight. So we ran through all of the spaces in the building so that typical classrooms have one set up, typical offices have another, conference rooms have another, and then some specialty spaces have other requirements, like, for example, a video production lab, or the makerspace, which has a little bit more robust technology needed. And so once we do that, item description sheets are also going to be brought to the state as a part of the submission. Oops. And they range everything from an Ethernet switch and other networking items through to those items that I just described, such as telephones for the school, and I'll go to something else, display boards, active panels, Prometheums for the classrooms, for example, and conference rooms. And so you can see that each item not only includes the description, the product information for each item and size, but also how many and where they're located. And then you can go back and forth between this list of specifications and items and the plans that I just shared with you. And then that gets rolled up into an estimate. As Rick said, we have done an estimate for the project, realizing that we will likely see some savings when this goes out to a competitive bid situation, and when the procurement vendors are working with the high quantities that we're requesting here. We're hoping and anticipating that the budget number will actually will come in lower, or I'm sorry, that the amount will come in lower than the budget total that we're showing. But right now, even with all of the equipment that you've asked for and that we've listed, you can see that we're within $75,000 or so of the budget. This is a manageable number and something that we're comfortable with, and that Rick is comfortable with, assuming that we'll get some savings out of the bids, as we mentioned.
And one of the things I should mention is, Amy said, we're comfortable with that. If, for example, we do come in over that same amount, the town has contingency that we could pay for that. One of the big discussions throughout the whole process was whether to have 75-inch or 86-inch Promethean boards. Dennis convinced us that the 86 were what's required, because that's really the latest, and why should we be behind the power curve? So we were able to include those in and still come in very close to the budget. One of the items that we looked at the sort of at the end was the charging stations. We found I think a better charging station for the notebooks and computers that was actually smaller, held the same number of units as some towers that were proposed, and actually saved us close to $70,000. So it was an effort by all of us, and we think this is the best plan to provide what we need as far as the educational specs and what the school's desires were through your technology department.
Correct. Thanks, Rick. On the screen, I just zoomed into the charging cart. This is what I described as in each of the classrooms. This acts as a space for holding each individual student's technology that they'll use throughout the day, and they'll be stored in their homerooms. Originally, we had a total of 100 charging cabinets because the unit originally selected was only able to hold 16 laptops or devices. So in working together with the, your district, with Dennis and with Rick, we were able to come up with this other solution. It takes up less room in the building, and you only need 50 of them because each of these charging carts holds more.
And it also holds larger computers, if you will, when it's all said and done. So it was sort of a winning situation.
Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to field any questions that you might have. I can go through the equipment in more detail if you'd like, but I think that knowing that these were all selected with Dennis's blessing and working together with him to provide what's appropriate for the middle school, I think we're all very happy with the package as it is.
It is absolutely amazing. Oof. You come that close, to be able to come that close on budget and give all that the needs are for the Groton Middle School. So thank you. Are there other questions or comments from the board? Mike.
I know there was a lot of thought put into the larger active panels, and I just want to thank you. That will be a huge addition to these classrooms, and I think that extra capacity. And of course, all this technology is essentially saving us right now in terms of distance learning.
Right.
Without the equipment that we now have, and in the future, we would be in big trouble. So this is a hugely important part of this school.
I agree, and I did kind of pass by very quickly some of the nuts and bolts of your system, but I realized that those are the very important pieces that are, as you mentioned, holding together school systems today, and my office, quite frankly, and right now downstairs, my two daughters are taking a dance class virtual. So all of this technology is keeping us all together and still useful as a group.
Liz?
Two questions.
Sure.
First of all, are we anticipating that these Chromebooks or the computers for the student computers will not be being taken home? Is that that's what we're assuming, that these will be totally at the school? Is that correct?
To partially answer your question, Liz, we're not buying computers as part of the project. The state's not allowing us to do that. So the charging stations were provided to provide the service that was required by your IT department to allow them to charge. So it's whatever your policy is with the Chromebooks or what you have that you're currently using.
Oh, okay.
Liz, the policy until 3 weeks ago was that each middle school student had a computer, but they didn't take it home.
Okay.
Going forward, I'm not sure. We started to talk about that today, about how do we move forward with the possibility, please God, not a long term, but what if we had to be out for another 2 weeks? We don't want to lose this expertise, and we want to. So I'm not sure. I think we may be going to a true one-to-one, maybe K through 8.
Okay, and then my second question was,
I meant 6 through 12, not K through 8.
where you're scrolling, I think it's screen 819, the blue, right here, the one that you just got up.
Yes,
Where are those Promethean boards or are those to televisions? These are Promethean boards, yes?
they are actually, what's on your screen is as a quantity of the stands. So some of
Oh,
your
okay.
Promethean boards will be mobile.
Oh, good.
There are a few spaces, actually your very performance-oriented spaces, like the small performance theater and the black box theater, because they have walls that open and close into the ceiling. The front of classroom for those spaces is optional, movable. And especially in the black box theater, it can be a central space, or it can be a three-sided space, or it can even be a one-sided space. So that's all going to allow for a lot of flexibility, and for that reason, there are 7 mobile stands that will be a part of the package. So not all of those Promethean boards will be fixed to the wall, but most of them will be. In your classrooms, in your standard teaching spaces, they will be fixed. But in some specialty spaces, they'll be mobile like this.
Great, thank you very much.
Sure.
Any other questions from the board? All righty. So any other points or clarifications from Nick? Not from Nick, from Rick.
No, I think you have the information that you need. Like I say, we do need approval of the plans, the specs, and the budget, and we'll be looking hopefully forward to that later on in your meeting. But unless you have some additional questions or follow-up questions later on, even after we get ready to go to the state, we'd be happy to answer them for you.
And Rick,
So,
when are you guys going to the state?
the 15th of April is what's scheduled.
Next
currently.
Wednesday,
Next Wednesday. Okay,
a
thank
week
you.
from. Mhm.
So it's not like I said, between now and that time, Tammy will be carrying around the drawings and the books for your signatures for Mike and Kim
Right,
and
so
other people that are required here in the town to sign those documents.
correct.
Oh, so we'll be hunted down.
Yes.
Well, maybe not. We'll give you a call.
In a gentle way.
Well, we'd meet you for breakfast down in the city, but you can't do that now. So
No.
Tammy and I are meeting in a parking lot at a closed movie theater tomorrow to safely, socially distantly exchange the documents.
Wow.
All right. Okay. Thank you. And I know that there had been a request for us to move this up so that we could have a vote, but I am a little concerned about it being a special meeting and changing the agenda around, or adding things to the agenda. So I maybe if you guys can just sit tight, I would really appreciate that.
yeah, that's fine.
No problem.
At your pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Dr. And I'm just wondering, could you take off the screen?
There you go.
Thank you.
Sure.
I like to see all of my friends' faces. I haven't seen them in a really long time up close and personal. So it's nice to see everyone. So Dr. Grenier, could you go to the
Sure.
COVID-19 response?
Well, I'll let Susan get into the details, but basically we started our distance learning last week, and the week we've had two meetings so far with the administrators, and they were very pleased. Things went relatively well. Now, I say that knowing that the Schoology had a nationwide problem, and that we're still the hot spots for the people who don't have the internet are on order, but they have not yet been received. Today was the first day there that parents could have opted out and prevent their children from participating in live meetings. But as of today, teachers are authorized hold live meetings like this one. Because Dennis bought a district account, and he set, there are some preset features to the program, such as the waiting room. And when you have that feature, the host has to invite you in and has to admit you. And so we're hoping that's going to prevent the Zoom bombing, as they say. Yeah. But it's been a real problem. I was on a conference call with the Lieutenant Governor about an hour ago, and she was on a conference and they got Zoom bombed. I think when they put up the phone number and they put up the ID, people can see that and they could get in, unless you can only get in through the waiting room, and Dennis has facilitated that for us. As I said, we got the Google Voice account. That's been a really great thing. And one of the things we talked to the principals about today, the secondary people, and we'll talk tomorrow when Susan and I meet with the elementary, is that they're going to send out surveys, because we're very interested in getting feedback from parents. There's so much stuff going out. It's really hard. We know we're getting some good feedback. I got a very nice compliment today for the board from paraprofessionals. They were extremely appreciative that the board voted before there was any action by the governor, just to take care of our people. And that goes a long way towards talking about the ethics and the values that we have as a school community. So I think things are going pretty well. The commissioner has
didn't vote on our part, so we're supposed to hang out, I think, till they get to the end of the meeting.
Yeah, Amy, you have to mute yourself.
And that's
anyway,
my last pile right there with those paint books, those paint decks. No, those are my new samples. The paper.
So Amy has.
That's
They're
not
at the
me,
corner.
actually. I think that's my
These
colleague,
papers and
Linda.
Yes.
decks.
Yes.
Go
it's
ahead and
showing up.
log off. You're all set.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, I think things are going pretty well. I know from the students that I'm speaking to, things are settling down. We had two extremes: kids who didn't seem to be getting much of anything, very little amount of work, and kids who were getting 7-8 hours a day, which is not acceptable. And Susan has kind of put it out there that we're looking for about 3 hours a day of real instruction. And I can tell you, kids I know are reading a good deal. I think our literacy is going on pretty well. And I'll let I'll stop here and I'll let Susan. She really has the best handle on the distance learning. So I'll let her do her.
Susan, before you start, so Mike, anything more from the commissioner? When you said that you think that within the next couple of days we're going to move into a discussion about when school is going to start, are you talking about like they think it's going to be in a month, or are you talking about that they're going to make a decision that the school year for actual bodies and building is over?
I would be surprised if they do the whole year, but I think they're going to, in the next couple of days, I believe you'll hear a significant extension.
So they're not willing to sort of kiss it all goodbye?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But as we keep hearing, things change day by day.
Okay. Rita, did you have a question on that? Okay. All right. Susan, thank you very much, and sorry to interrupt you.
No. Mike's right. I think this whole thing is about balance. It's about balance for teachers who are instructing and for also being parents at home and having families. I hear it from all over the place that the most important thing we can do is to make this reasonable. And I think that goes back to the plan that we put together. And in the very beginning, Mike and I said, this is a plan that's going to have 3 phases. That beginning phase was all about supplemental learning, and kids are getting extra credit and bonus for that, so it will count for them. And families started delving into that whole distance learning world with that. And we could see that kids were on Lexia and on Dreambox and were reading, and we could see those kind of things, but we weren't necessarily formally assessing it. And our motto is, of course, our mission is teaching and learning always, no matter what, but our motto is go slow and grow. Because with this balance, it's so important that people learn these skills for this whole new digital world. So whether you're a classroom teacher or you're a middle school, high school teacher, or you're a paraprofessional who's assisting in a classroom or a special education teacher, they all need to be provided with the right amount of professional development to be able to do this well. And we've said to them, we're going to do the very best we can to meet the needs of these kids. And we trust that they know the kids the best. So with that being said, we do have a district plan. I really hope every board member takes the time to go on to our landing page on our website, and you can see how Dennis has set up all the parameters on distance learning. You can find the plan. You can see the roles and responsibilities that everybody in our school community has in all of this, including parents, for their help in structuring a situation where kids have some learning time and some time to themselves for that. We've also learned some new vocabulary, and it doesn't have an acronym, so that's good. And I know that my friend Dr. Ackerman probably knows exactly what the definitions are, but we're looking at synchronous versus asynchronous instruction. Synchronous, I think of like in sync. You're in sync with somebody. You can be in sync with them in time and space. In distance learning, synchronous is doing what we're doing right now. We're all together at the same time, but we're not at the same place because we're protecting ourselves with this virtual space. So, and asynchronous is how we really got started. Asynchronous was using Google Classroom, was using Schoology, and was putting out assignments, connecting with pre-recorded messaging. I think a lot of you saw the beautiful messages that the different schools have sent out, telling the kids, we miss you, we care about you, we're here for you. I know we can't be close to you right now, but we are thinking about you. So those, for mini lessons, those are great to be able to give a slideshow, to be able to give a video for kids so that they can learn in that way. And then off they go, readers, writers, mathematicians, to do some independent work, some collaborative work. But with the synchronized, just like in Zoom, we can do some amazing things. And some of those amazing things are, we can meet a whole classroom, we can meet with small groups, we can have a whole class, then split them up into small groups and give them different assignments, have a teacher and a literacy coach and a tutor be in the different classrooms, listening in to what the kids are saying and discussing, and really having kids in on discussion, which I think is powerful. And that's where we're really heading, but we know that our teachers need to have the professional development to do that. So with some support from Teachers College that is working on this, teachers will have about an hour or two with them in the next few weeks to really go through what is synchronized and asynchronous instruction. And I think that will really help alleviate the anxiety. Special ed has really a heavy lift. They have those students' IEP by law, and they have to follow them. And we're probably going to have to do some virtual PPTs as we look at those annuals and reviews. I know some of that has been put off a little bit of time, but we're really anxious to keep the ball rolling and ensure that our children who have an IEP, we're meeting those needs. So that will require some small group work. That may, for speech language, we met with them, and Sarah Moon, who is out of Learn and works with the state. She was so helpful on that conversation with Denise and all the coordinators, really listening to our speech language teachers and what they're concerned about, but also saying, we have to do the best we can to meet the needs. And, with speech and language, there's two components. There's the medical piece, and then there's the educational piece. So we have to find the best way to be able, in live time, to be able to meet those needs. So they're talking about doing it both ways, dually. So, but providing through their ASHA group They have been provided with many webinars, and they're going to come back together almost like as a professional learning community, discuss it. We told them to team up with others. We think it's really important when you're doing live instruction or, you know, synchronized digital instruction to have another adult in the room, whether it's a para, whether it's a tutor, whether it's a colleague. And, you know, we have to go slow and grow and get more comfortable with all of this. So, you know, I looked at it though also as an opportunity, because when I was listening to our speech language teachers, a lot of their work has been working with parents and educating parents on some of these techniques and having parents work with them and working with the child. So it's really a golden opportunity for parents really to zoom into a classroom or see what the instruction looks like and have teachers by their side to help them with that. So, you know, there were some complications last week, and we are checking in, you know, Mike and I are checking in with our administrators, you know, basically every other day. And they are tapping in with their staff. They're meeting with their staff, you know, almost every day in small groups or larger groups. And they're surveying their parents. Every principal is, you know, going to be or has already surveyed parents and gotten some really good feedback. So that's my my mini lesson for distance learning.
Did Zay or Addie, did you have anything to add in terms of, as Rita was asking about whether they felt like some of the special services in either the middle school or in the high school, are you hearing from kids about whether their needs have been or have not been met?
Well, I can definitely say, I think students are definitely very familiar with Schoology for the high school. So I know, I don't think there was that big of a learning curve in order to kind of see how to get assignments on it, how to submit stuff. I think there was definitely, it was good that students already knew how to do that. I haven't noticed anyone complaining about not knowing how to do things. And if they do, it's easy to email the teacher. The only real complaint about that, or one, I mean, there's been a couple different things that, you know, students have tried to figure out, and I think they're getting into a place where they understand how to do everything. I know the Schoology crashing definitely.
That was no fun.
Yeah, a lot of students didn't like that. Zay, is there something you want to say?
The only thing that I really have to say is that I have had some teachers, well, like, this isn't really a problem, but like some teachers would post videos of like them showing us how to do stuff on the computer. Say like they would post, like, I don't really know how they did it, but it was really cool. I understood what was happening, and it actually got to me where it was like, if we were actually in the class, it felt as if she was there. So I appreciated that. It did help a lot.
Yeah, and I'll say I had my first class video chat thing today, where I was able to talk to my teacher about different deadlines and talk to my classmates about stuff, and it was really good. I think that was honestly super helpful. So I'm glad that that's an option now.
Go ahead, Rita.
What are they doing if someone has a lab that needs to be completed? How are they working on physics labs or chemistry?
I'm in AP chemistry, so for my specific class, I can't speak to all classes, but we have just not been doing labs. We've kind of moved to strictly textbook or watching something online, learning that way.
Okay.
So unfortunately, I mean, there might be other classes that I haven't heard about yet that have figured out ways that students can do it independently, but I think for the most part, it's hard to coordinate something like that.
There's something, Rita, I can add to that. There's something called a virtual lab. So teachers sometimes use that as a model. Of course, in a classroom, when you have a laboratory setting that's safe and everything, it's also wonderful to get kids to actually engage in the materials. I know that with the elementary, some of the materials are right at hand and they might be able to do that, but that's also, you want to make sure that access for everyone. in a
Mhm.
situation with, you know, an online lab where they can actually watch and, you know, learn about how the lab is put together, how to structure it, that might at this time be more beneficial, just knowing the situation.
Mhm. I did have a question for Susan also. Susan, I wanted to know about how are you handling kindergarten registration, and will we have a transition K next year?
Well, that was all part of the plan. We've actually, the kindergarten committee has been meeting together throughout the year. So they've been really monitoring the progress, and they're monitoring in their own buildings, and they really feel that we could absolutely have another one. As a matter of fact, some kindergarten teachers have said it could even be possible to have something that was a cluster group of younger kids with some of the older kids, almost like we do in preschool, so that they could be models, and maybe that could help support. So they've had lots of conversations about, you know, ways that they can meet their needs. We had a schedule for, you know, open houses for kindergarten folks all April. And we were going to get those early screenings done like we did last year. That was so beneficial. We learned so much about our kids. I feel like we were able to better place them in classrooms, and we knew ahead of time what their needs were, especially using a Bergantz test like we did for so many of the kids. So I do have concerns about that. I have not figured that all out yet, but you are prompting me to think about that even further. I know that with our military families coming and going, I also have a concern that if we have families maybe being transferred out in this time frame, how do we get back? How do we get to the, reach those families and make sure they bring their children's belongings, and that we're able to transfer records? So that's something I've been in conversation with Miranda about as well.
From what I understand, there's no one in the military that can go anywhere for 60 days. I mean, they started like, you know, a week or so ago. So even, you know, students won't be able to change a school or whatever.
Right,
So
right.
for 2 months.
Back to the labs. As many of you know, I've been taking graduate classes in teaching science, and they have shown us tons and tons and tons of virtual labs, from everything from astronomy, to dissection. So there's a lot out there. I can't think of the names off the top of my head, but I've done 6 of them this week. So they're out there. You just have to look.
Right.
Sometimes they don't always work as well as you hope, but they do. Most of them work pretty well. I just caution the teachers to play with it a lot.
Thank you, Susan. I'm also don't know if you've been aware that there's a lot of conversations going on in the early childhood movement about how to do screenings and assessments virtually. I can try to find the site and I'll pass it along to you, but I just...
Thank you. I would really appreciate that.
Yeah,
because that was the other thing we were planning in the next 2 months was to have our screening for our, you know, all of our different preschool, pre-K programs. So it's a little tricky. You know, it might require, if we're able to screen kids in the summertime, we might have to use that, or we might have to find alternative ways. So any information you have on that, Kim, I'd really appreciate it.
That'd be great. We did get a chat from Miranda. Hi, Miranda. It's good to know that you were here around someplace, and that to your point, Rita, is that there's some exceptions to the military move stop. Some families are still moving depending on the role or job, so that's not necessarily true for everyone. Just to make sure that as we're recording, that also gets mentioned. Dr. Grenier.
Just in terms of the possibility of allowing students to enter the building, I spoke to the Leadville Health District, and the order from the governor is that we can't have schools, but it is their children are allowed, and we would coordinate that with Sam and his staff. We could get kids and adults in buildings and to clean out a locker or to do what needs to be done. So it's not that we can't go in there. The other thing I want to say, Kim, is that I called Rosemary, and she's participating via phone.
Oh, yay. I'm glad to hear that.
Can you say hello, Rosemary?
Hi, and hope everyone is well and surviving this.
Everybody seems to be doing pretty well.
I am so proud of our school system. I've kept touch on what's going on in Facebook, and I am just so proud of you guys.
Thank you. This is a community that people should be proud of.
Mhm.
Yes, and continues to work hard.
Right.
Are there any other questions for the remote or for Susan? One of the things I love doing this virtual stuff is that I see Susan's in a rocking chair.
No. I always wanted to be able to move during the meetings.
Without hanging on this couch. Mark is like rocking the couch. I mean, I think it's great. So
Yeah.
I'm moving us on. So the business manager, Ken, I know you were here. Where are you? There you are. You keep on moving on the screen on me.
Sorry. Right here.
Right here.
So we received some guidance on how to handle our transportation contracts per the governor's executive order. The order specifically speaks to paying for employees' wages and health insurance for the folks that work for the bus companies. And so we've been given some guidance on how we can go about that. We can have the bus company give us actual numbers. We can ask them to give us some sort of percentage of what our current rate is. And so we have reached out to STA to start that process. One of the things that they will need to do is they'll need to attest to having restored any of the employees that they have laid off. So that is definitely something that, so those things are in the works. We are negotiating at this point. You know, the ranges that we're looking at is probably something in the 70 to 80% of our typical rate range, but it's it can be up to interpretation. It depends upon what our what the contract is. Ours doesn't include diesel, so it would be higher for labor, and so we just got to take all those things into consideration.
But if I can add, Kim,
Please.
There's probably a potential when we think about offsetting the $496,000 cut. There's probably a potential, maybe for $150,000 here. Ken, does that seem about right?
Yeah, that seems about right. There's about 2.5 months of the contract left. Then that would be approximate of what we could not have to pay.
Okay.
Jay, do you have any questions?
Well, I'd like to see the contract, but that seems low. It seems like we should be getting more back than that. But again, I haven't seen the contract. I know they laid those folks off like the day.
Yeah.
And have they said that they hired them back?
No, but they'd have to attest to hiring them back, and that'd be part of the negotiation. We'd have to have that because that's what we're paying for. We're paying for those folks.
I think, Jay, it would be helpful to get the finance committee involved in this. So we'll reach out to the STA, and you know, negotiations is a funny word. It's not like that I've got a position, they've got a position. I actually want to see the detailed analysis of their costs, and you know, we want to, well, and by the governor's executive order, we want to compensate the employees, and there are probably some reasonable charges that we would be expected by contract to cover. But I want to see those details, and then we'll share them with the committee.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they should suffer any kind of extraordinary loss, but at least
Right.
pass along their savings.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
So that's where we are. We're also it's a statewide issue. So we're Ken's working with CASBO to make sure we get the sort of big picture on what's going on.
Right.
What was the date again that we had to go back to in order to reimburse?
The 12th was the last day children were transported.
Okay.
March.
Right.
All right. Any further questions about that? All right, let's move on to Mr. Kilpatrick, who no longer looks like he's like hanging out on the couch anymore. And you were like laying back, bud.
I'm sitting up straight now, ma'am. Okay, so I guess the first thing is the, good evening. The first thing is the food service program. And if you've been around at all, you've seen that the cars continue to come through the 3 sites. We're doing just under 2,000 meals a day. And on Fridays, it's quite a bit more. And so knowing that this Friday is Good Friday is coming up, we will be still serving on Friday. So we're going to stick with the same schedule. And our food service people will, and we'll have a couple of maintenance people in too to move the vehicles over to get the food to the sites. So we'll be in on Good Friday to continue serving those meals. I lost my phone for a second there, so.
So
Next one was update on Groton Middle School.
Yep. So Groton.
so you're saying, Sam,
Yep.
Thursday will not be the Last Supper.
Really?
Little liturgical joke.
Oh my God, you didn't say that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He did. Okay.
That was wonderful.
On to the Groton Middle School. I did take a tour again on Friday with the custodial staff from Westside Middle School. And things are moving along. As I reported earlier, the workforce is down a bit, but that's mostly due to people sharing childcare at home. They have instituted, when you go to the site, everybody that comes to the site must fill a form out that indicates their health at this point, whether they've got any indications of runny noses, so on and so forth. And they're limiting the number of people that can go on any tours. So that project is at this time on time and on budget. So things are moving along. The colors are on the various floors. A lot of the painting is done. A lot of the finished work. The cabinetry was going in the other day when I was there. So it seemed to be moving along, and it's pretty impressive. I did want to mention too that I was at Cutler today. O&G person was there today looking at the site, and the elementary schools look like they're going to be moving along here very shortly too.
Yeah. No pandemic's going to stop this district.
If I can add to Sam's report, you know, all things aren't milk and honey over at the middle school. We are facing our share of challenges. For example, casework for the upper 2-story labs isn't coming from Pennsylvania, which is not coming from Pennsylvania because they've closed the state. So that would be delivered later on in May, late May, early June, which still should allow us to get things in. But we are facing our share of challenges. We haven't run across anything that can't be delivered now at some point in time. So we are working with those. I have a list of items that are potential delays. Right now we have pretty good control over all those things, but we're still scheduled right now to complete on time. You know, for example, the gymnasium may work into early July as far as the floor gets done and all those sorts of things. So there are those things, several things that won't complete right on 30 June, but they'll be shortly thereafter. And Fields is an example of that. you know, so there's planning times and that sort of thing. But right now, we've got, we're pushing hard to get it done. For example, Friday, they had 9 masons on site. Today, we had 30. So, and you can see the brickwork going up. The folks over there are doing a tremendous job, good work. We've had like a major cleanup. And as I alluded to earlier on the COVID-19, they really have good control over who's there and their conditions. I think we had one person went home sick with a fever. We haven't had anything else, but the managers over there are taking a close look at these folks and making sure they're separated as best they can be. And if they see anything that's an issue, they're working with the contractors to have those people moved on. So Sam is right. We're moving. We're looking at the downhill side. I think we have like 13 weeks to go to June 30th. So we'll be moving along.
Jeez, thank you, Rick, for the update. And I do appreciate, I got you, Rita. I do appreciate that we are, we have the picture of both the good, bad, and ugly. I think that's a helpful perspective for us. Rita, do you have a question?
I have a question for Rick. Do they take every worker's temperature when they go into the site?
No, they
every
don't.
Day?
No, they don't. No. They do follow the other protocols. There are protocols that are set out as far as that. I could send what the policies are to the superintendent if you folks would like to see those.
No, I just thought it was something the governor had recommended.
No, and in fact, the governor,
Not
some of the projects he recommended to continue are school projects that are on schedule. So
I know that. I
Yeah,
just
so-
meant whether, I thought just taking temperatures so you'd know if someone was sick
No.
coming onto the site.
Yeah.
But they're not. Okay,
They're not.
thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions for Sam?
Oh, I have a question. How many meals did we serve so far this past week? Like, was it really busy, you know, this Monday and today's only Monday. I guess it was last Friday. You said 2,000 meals or something?
It's just under 2,000 a day, yes.
Okay. I know that in New London, they're serving 5,000. I can't even imagine serving that many meals.
That's 2,000 a day, or is that 5,000 a day for New London, or is that 5,000 a week?
5,000 a day in New London.
Okay.
Yeah, they've had to ask help from the community because they can't. They even have a mobile van. But for Sam, are we still having issues with the lines? And do you think we need to open up a fourth site?
No, we have moved the kitchen staff over to Cutler to spread them out a little more in the kitchen while they're working and preparing things. So they have a little more distance there. But as far as the lines are concerned, I was down at Mary Morrison again last Friday, and it seemed to be a lot more under control. I think it was that first day that everybody rushed down there.
Yeah.
We're actually staying a little bit longer, so it's helping out a bit too.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Rick, my question is to you as we go to our action to vote on the motion for the technology plan. Did you say that the motion needed to be read differently?
Yes, you say you approve the Groton technology plan. You should include plans, specifications, and budget. Those 3 things should be mentioned in there. Those will all be documents that are signed or attested to as part of the stuff that goes to OSCGR.
Okay, so the motion could read to approve the Groton Middle School technology specification and budget plan.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that would work.
Okay, so I just put that motion on the floor. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Rosemary seconded.
Oh, thank you.
I don't have the camera on because I'm in bed.
Oh.
WTMI, no.
Yeah. Okay, so is there any more discussion about that? All right, folks, hearing none. What I'm going to do is, I think, Joan, would it work out best for you if I just did a roll call? Okay, so all those in favor, I'm going to say the motion and then I'm just going to go to each person and you guys can say yay or nay, okay? I saw that done on the RTM or town council and it seemed to work pretty smoothly. And so the motion that's on the floor is to approve the Groton Middle School technology plans and budget. You know what I said.
Yep.
Let me say it, Kim.
Thank you, Mike.
The motion is to approve the Groton Middle School technology plans, specifications, and budget.
What he said. Gretchen. Is that a yes? Can you unmute it so that we know? Okay. Liz.
Yes.
Got it. Lee.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, just do a thumbs up. Okay.
Thumbs
Jane.
up. She said yes.
Jane.
Yes.
Thank you. Rita.
Yes.
Jay.
Yay.
Andrea.
Yes.
Kim. Yes. So the motion has.
Rosemary, yes.
Rosemary, yes. Kim, Rosemary said yes.
Okay. So the motion has carried. All affirmative. All right. So you guys get your technology plan. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll be routing the documents around for signature. We'll contact you all. So,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
So long, Rick. Thank you, Amy.
Thanks.
All right, and so the next business item is about to approve the inclusion of the Tui House Director and Assistant Director salary in the Board of Education budget for the fourth quarter of fiscal year 20. Can I have a second to that?
Second. That was Andrea, second.
Andrea got it second? Okay, can we have it and discussion? Mike, has there been any, Mike or Ken, has there been any changes to the discussion since we talked about this last week?
No, just that we want to continue, and we are right now continuing to pay the staff members of Treehouse, and there's sufficient money in the enterprise fund to do that. But the request would be that the board, under these extraordinary circumstances, pick up just the fourth quarter of the Treehouse Director and Assistant Director, which is $27,464, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
And Ken, could you speak to where that money might be allocated from?
Yeah, we had talked about last week some funds, some cost avoidance that we're going to experience due to this. We believe there's some additional cost avoidance that will be more than sufficient to cover these costs beyond what we already talked about. So,
is it safe to assume that if we go back to school and Treehouse runs back, are we still going to cover them for the full year, or does this agreement only go as if we are not going to be in for the rest of the academic year?
I'm saying just for the fourth quarter. Yes, the assumption is we'll be out for the rest of the year, but only for the fourth quarter. And when the summer starts up, the enterprise fund will pay their salary for the summer.
So if we go back to school in 3 weeks, excuse me, for kicks and giggles, let's just say that. I have in this room way too long. I'm on my fourth week, folks. I'm going crazy. So if we go back to school, are we still going to be paying for those two positions?
Well, according to the motion, yes, I guess, to keep it simple. But if we go back to school, even if we go back to school a month from now, there will still be significant cost avoidance that would allow the board to absorb this.
Okay. Any other questions?
A quick question. Mike, then if, let's say we did go back, would there be a surplus in that account and that would carry over into the summer that we could
Yes.
use for students or?
Yes. Yes, we could definitely do that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I'm going to try to do this one more time or again. I'm going to do by roll call. And the motion that's on the floor is to approve the inclusion of the treehouse. Okay, I'm going to try this one more time. To approve the inclusion of the treehouse director and assistant director salary in the Board of Education budget for the fourth quarter of fiscal year 20. Okay, so Gretchen, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you. Jane?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
Rita?
Yes.
Jay?
Yay.
Did you say yay? Okay. Lee?
Yes.
Andrea? Andrea? Yes
Yay.
or just give me a thumbs up or down.
No, I'm unmuted. Yes.
Okay. And Rosemary? All right. The motion has carried unanimously. All right, we're on our third piece of business, which is the discussion around having Malone and McBroom to do the elementary redistricting plan. Mike, is that how you want the motion to read? Because are we approving his plan or are we approving him to develop the plan?
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. To approve how about to approve the development of an elementary redistricting plan? That's better.
Okay, so the motion that's on the floor is to approve the development of an elementary school districting plan by Malone and McBroom. Can I have a second to that? I have Lee. All right, discussion. Mike?
Well, we know with the three schools, Mary Morrison, Claude Chester, and SB Butler closing, those schools need to have a neighborhood catchment area. And so I reached out to Malone and McBroom to see if they could help us redraw just the district lines for those three schools, which would help us to achieve racial balance in the two new elementary schools.
Any other questions or discussion about that?
Kim?
Yes.
What is the cost, Mike?
15 up to 15,000. We could put that in the motion if you like.
Yeah, I think we should.
Because
We didn't receive any details about the extent of it. So it's only 3 schools
Correct.
and nothing else will change in the city of the town of Groton in terms of where children go to school.
Yes, that's my recommendation.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Joan, for us to go, is that going to be amended? Are we amending the motion?
I think you should. Somebody should make amendment to add that to the motion.
Okay, thank you, Joan. Rita, would you give the honors since you were astutely to bring that up?
Yes, to develop an elementary school redistricting plan by Malone and McBroom and Company, not to exceed more than $15,000 for the cost of this plan.
So Ms. Jones, I need a second. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
I'll second that.
I got, take your pick. You have Andrew, you have Lee, you have Liz, you have Jane. Gretchen, I think your hand was raised. So is there a discussion about that? Jay, do you have any input from, I know that your committee had talked about that.
Nothing really beyond what we discussed last week, which is, you know, they hold the repository of years of data about the neighborhoods and, you know, what has been done with them over the years. So rather than bringing in a new company and bringing them up to speed on all of that data, you know, they're positioned as the experts for us at this point.
Rita?
What is the time frame, Mike, that you've laid out for them?
Well, to be truthful, before all this COVID problems, it was going to be a 2-month study. So if it's approved tonight, I'll contact him tomorrow, and it's certainly by the end of the year. We need to get this done.
Yes. So definitely by the fall.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Gretchen?
I still have concerns about taking kids, say, that are less than a quarter mile from, well, I'll say Cutler for right now, and shipping them to Northeast.
So tonight, we're talking about just getting that study done. We're not talking about necessarily where people come from, but at that, when we are talking about that, I think that that's an appropriate concern for you to share with the group. But tonight, it's just about getting them on board for that, okay?
So kind of confused about this one, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm glad that you asked that question because there might be someone who's listening who might not understand what's going on. So your question might help to lead them on that.
We're going to have a similar concern, Kim, for children who live literally across the street from West Side, and we're hoping to open up a lottery slot so that kids can go to a school that's quite near their home if they choose.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, now I have to vote. We have to vote on the amendment, correct?
First, yes.
Oh, I'm almost getting it.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please read the amended motion, please?
The amended motion is to approve the development of an elementary school redistricting plan by Malone and McBroom, not to exceed $15,000.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jones. Gretchen, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you. Jane?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
Rita?
Yes.
Jay?
Yay.
Lee? Andrea?
Yay.
Rosemary?
Yes.
Yes, Rosemary.
All right, so that motion has carried. Thank you. All right. I don't necessarily apologize for the frequency of the meetings. I just think it's really important that things are moving so quickly that that we as a board are aware of all the things that are happening in the district. Thank you all for your patience. I guess, Andrea, you can go back to your antique road. You don't have very far to go.
Shall I make a motion to adjourn? Move to adjourn.
I got a Gretchen, got a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Good to see everyone.
Yes, stay well.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Take care.
You
All right.
too.
Bye-bye now.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.